Hey guys, episode 450 with our good friend, Mr. Adam Bergstrom, is brought to you by Organifi Green Juice Powder. Now, I am a big advocate of consuming greens on a daily basis. The three ways I consume them mostly are either in a green juice, a green smoothie, or a green powder. And it's my goal every day to do all three at some point during the day. But sometimes you can't make a green juice or you can't make a green smoothie. The green powder, I recommend everyone be on some kind of green powder. I would highly recommend check out Organifi. It's put out by my friend Drew Canoli, who's been on our show. You can get all your superfoods in one drink with no shopping, no blending, no juicing, no cleanup. It takes 2 seconds. You can add a little bit of coconut water to it if you like. It's got chlorella, moringa, spirulina, mint, beets, matcha green tea, wheatgrass, ashwagandha, turmeric, lemon, coconut water. And it's awesome because it saves you time, it gives you mental clarity, improves your health, reduces stress, rejuvenates the skin. All of these minerals are amazing to get in your body. And the best thing is it tastes great and it takes no time at all. So if you're a busy person and you go out with your water every day, go out to work, put some scoops of Organifi green juice powder in there and see how it tastes. It tastes amazing. And we're also brought to you by the Berkey water filters. These are the filters that Kate and I use for our home. Highly, highly effective in getting rid of so many toxins that are in our waters, like aluminum, copper, 100% of copper, 100% of arsenic, 100% of strontium, 100% of cadmium, gets rid of cesium, mercury, 100% of lead, 100% of uranium. It's amazing gravity-fed water filtration system, and you can also get fluoride as well, 100% of fluoride out of all of your water as well. We talk about that on today's show. So the Berkey is awesome. It's our way of filtering our water. Sometimes we put our spring water in there, our well water in there, or even if we have to, tap water in there, and we drink that. And it's just a really, really great system. In fact, Mike Adams of Natural News recently did a review of the best water filters out there, and Berkey came out number 1. So go check out the Berkey or the Organifi on this particular show page if you're interested in getting a couple of these products. They are extremehealthradio.com/450, and both of these are in our store as well. Well, another day, another episode here of Extreme Health Radio.
As your Uncle Tim would say.
What does he say?
Another day, another $1.50.
Another $1.50.
Those Aussies.
They got away with the words, don't they?
Another day, another $1.50.
Is that? I wonder if that's just Australian. I always wonder. All of his little friends.
Or is that just Uncle Tim?
Is that just Uncle Tim? Another day, another $1.50, Justin.
Yeah, that's what he'd say. He always had to add your name at the end.
That's funny.
Well, he still does. He's alive.
Yes.
Yeah, we love Uncle Tim.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Living in Sydney, Australia.
That's right.
Yeah, I need to go back and visit him.
Yeah, right. We'll get up there again.
Yeah, I like Tim.
Yeah.
Uncle Tim, if you're listening, I like you.
You're approved by...
Approved by Justin Keith. Well, everyone. This is episode... Endorsed.
Yeah, there
that's
we
right.
go.
Approved.
Yeah.
Endorsed.
There you go.
This is episode 450 of Extreme Health Radio. We've done 450 shows. It never ceases to amaze me how many shows we've done.
Man.
That's a lot of shows.
Yeah. The 500 mark is going to seem big, but 450.
We should throw a little party at the 500 mark.
We'll take it. Let's do it. A little fiesta.
I like that. So today's a special episode. We're recording this at about 7 o'clock on a Saturday night here. We had to reschedule, unfortunately, Adam, to Saturday night, but we're excited to have him on, and we're going to be talking about, for those who don't know, Adam Bergstrom is a sort of a regular guest, and we love him. He's such a great guy. He talks about so many great ideas that you're not going to really find anywhere else. I'll have to say that. You're not going to find the ideas that he espouses and talks about on other websites. You really won't find him anywhere other than his books and his writings and his other podcasts he's done and things like that. His website, solartiming.com, as well as Sun-synchronized.com. And the basis of what he talks about mostly is timing, the when you eat food and how that affects your body. And the idea is your organs work at a certain time, and then when the sun hits the food, the angle of the light that hits the food has an impact on the food itself, as well as your organs. So when your organ's working at a certain time, and then you eat the food for that organ at the right time as well, you got this synergistic sort of vibration happening that your body's very happy with. So he's written a book called Solar Nutrition, and his website again is solartiming.com, as well as sunsyncnutrition.com. Mr. Adam Bergstrom, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, so glad to have you on. I got to ask you, how is Montecito, the Montecito life, treating you?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Nice weather up here today. Glorious sun shining.
Yeah.
And it's been cool.
Yeah, it's cooling down a little bit. We're a couple hours south of you, and it's been hot lately, hasn't it?
Yeah. For August, we're having a little bit of June gloom here in the mornings, too.
Wow.
Yeah, we're having some gray skies right now all day. It hasn't cleared up.
Yeah, it hasn't cleared up all day.
But we like it.
It's nice, though. It's nice. It was a little too hot lately.
Yep, it has been.
Yeah.
A week or two ago, especially.
Yeah.
So do you have plans to stay there in Montecito, or are you planning on traveling? I know a while ago you went to New Zealand for a little while.
Yeah, we like Kerry, New Zealand, definitely. We like it here, though, We don't really go many places because it's so nice up here in the Santa Barbara area.
Uh-huh.
Carpinteria up to Goleta, the whole area here.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful spot. Are you concerned at all with any of the chemtrails? Do you see chemtrails up there?
We see, I've counted as many as 150. So I figure they can't be too harmful if the people who are responsible for them, quite a few of them, live right up here in Montecito.
Really?
How do you know that?
Well, because I'm nosy.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah, let's just be honest here.
Yeah, I study the area, and a lot of people here, besides the normal celebrities, Jeff Bridges, Tom Cruise, Oprah, a whole bunch of them, there's a lot of people who are in the international financing business, the international arms shipping business, and all kinds of things like that. So these are the people. They're even planning an escape by buying a portion of Vandenberg Air Force Base, which is only about 90 miles from here, and planning to get off the planet if anything happens.
Oh, my goodness.
Sounds like science fiction, but that's what they're up to. I don't know where they plan to go, but...
My gosh. So what's the deal with the chemtrails? What do you think the point is?
Well, they, besides the chemtrails, just look at the jet fuel, how toxic that is.
Yeah.
So even if we didn't have chemtrails, we'd have a problem there.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, I've counted as many as 150 because I never thought to count at nighttime. But I went out on a full moon one night and looked at the sky, and it was crisscrossed with chemtrails.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I've seen that a few times. It's pretty creepy.
Yes, it is.
You know what
I was in the dark.
You know what I was wondering about the chemtrails is, do the pilots that are flying those planes, regardless of whether or not people believe they're nefarious and there's chemicals, like even if they're just completely innocuous, do the pilots know that this stuff is coming off their plane? I wonder.
That's a good question. And I certainly don't think they're innocuous. In fact, they had weather making, they could make rain before by just putting salt in the air and things like that. It's been, if you go back in the old Popular Science, Popular Mechanics magazines, you can see that they had that all worked out. They don't need all these aluminum crystals and whatever else they're using.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder about that, because those pilots that are flying those planes, I mean, I look up and I see those planes going, and I think to myself, maybe, it just occurred to me now, maybe those things are flown by robot or by drone or something.
Oh, yeah.
That's possible, I guess.
You never know. We're behind in the technology, like the Manhattan Project. Before those atom bombs were dropped on Hiroshima, nobody knew that project was even being worked on. They didn't even know the potentiality of splitting an atom. So the public was completely unaware. And a buddy of mine went to Japan in the 60s. Get this, way back in the 60s. And he saw flat screen TV. And he said, wow, I can't wait to get home and buy one. He said, you don't understand. That's not how it works. It's not going to come out for a couple of decades. And it didn't. when was it, about the 90s? And he was seeing it and looking at it in the 60s.
Oh my goodness!
Where would he come across
Texas Instruments in Japan.
Jeez.
So he was visiting the location of Texas Instruments in Japan, and they had some, I guess, mock-ups of.
Oh, they had it. No, they had it.
It actually
They
worked.
just don't distribute it because they got to get rid of all the metal that the regular TVs and things were
my
made out of.
gosh.
The way it works.
So that
But
was
weird.
that was 50 years ago. So imagine if they're going on that same rate of exponential growth. That means they've got technology 50 years from now. I can't even imagine what that would be.
NASA can read your driver's license from outer space. They've been able to do it since probably the 70s and the 80s for sure.
Read your how so? Like with Google Earth and those pictures?
They've got cameras set up so efficiently and so technological that they not only can read your driver's license, they have infrared, infragreen, infrablue. They can tell how much gasoline you've got in your car from outer space. And if they plant a little nano microphone on your car, they can hear what you're saying from outer space.
Oh,
Normally,
my
we're
gosh.
not important enough for them to be tracing. But important people, you can bet they use that type of technology.
Oh my gosh! Cue the
gosh.
Star Trek. You know what?
Twilight Zone.
The Twilight Zone music. You know what? Somebody said, "Who are the people that we interviewed?" Do you remember, Kate? The people that we interviewed that do the work with Ormus or was it the Zappers? Don and Carol Croft. That's who it was. They do a lot of work with these Zappers, these Terminator Zappers that we have. And at the end of the interview, they were telling me about these sort of flat screen TVs now, I'm sorry, no, it was the digital TVs. The digital TVs, according to them, have cameras on them, and they can spy on you whenever, even if the TV is off, and they can spy on you and record and watch and listen and all this stuff.
Does it have to be plugged in, even if it's off? Like, does it have to have power to it, do you think?
I don't know.
That'd be creepy if you just brought that thing in your house and it's just like on its own, like has a brain.
Some people were saying at the end of some people were saying that they put blankets over their televisions now and
Jeez.
television screen and
Woo, weird stuff.
crazy, right, Adam?
According to Wired magazine, about 15, 20 years ago, they already had the technology, and the hackers were saying the only way they can't get to you if you unplug it at the wall. If you turn off your computer or television, they can get to you. But as long as it's unplugged from the wall, they can't. So a lot of people, I mean, who really unplugs their computer at the wall?
Right.
Right.
Cable and all. Nobody that I know.
You know
Right.
that? Have you seen that thing on Amazon Echo? Have you learned or know about that?
No.
So Amazon Echo is a device that you can. It's really pretty genius of them to create this device, but it's a little device. It looks like about half the size of a foam roller. So it's like circular and it sits right on your countertop, and it's maybe 2 feet tall or a foot tall, and you speak to it, and it can say like if you tell it Amazon Echo or whatever the name, I think they always give it a name like Siri or something. If you say, Siri or whatever the equivalent name is, can you repurchase some paper towels for me or some, DVDs for me or something? And it will look in your past search history and do that. But then it also tells you what the weather is, and it'll say like, what year did Bob Dylan start his music career? And it'll tell you.
Yeah.
Through God knows where.
And then you can have your whole house programmed to link up with it, I think. So if you say, hey, turn on my jacuzzi, it's like a smart house now. It'll get that warmed up. So by the time you are ready to go out there.
You have a friend that has that.
Yeah, his house right down the street is completely wired like this. So he just starts talking and the thing starts doing things. It's the craziest thing.
Is that with the Amazon Echo?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And he has it also in his phone. So he'll be in Las Vegas getting ready to jump on a plane to come back from a business trip, an hour and a half away. And he just talks into his phone, start jacuzzi jets, get it warmed up, and it'll start it on. It's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
We're living in a crazy time.
Yep. Years ago, Buckminster Fuller said that we in our houses have the capability of having the same technology in our airplanes and our jets and our space program, but we just have chosen not to. But you can bet there are certain people who have enough money and enough connections that have that technology in their homes.
I bet. I don't know if I'm not really. I don't think I'd want that. It just doesn't sound appealing to me. I don't know.
To the wireless aspect of it, it's kind of bizarre. I don't like all the EMF, coming.
Radiation.
But then I don't know what it's recording. If it's putting all of your sort of everything you tell it into a database, or it's storing that somehow. I got to think that there's some upside for Amazon. Obviously, the upside is more sales because people can more easily purchase, and that's, as a business, that's a good thing for them. But I'm just not so sure. Are you?
I'm not so sure about it. Now, one thing I do like is if you want to be heard, all you have to do is speak to the computer, and you're going to be heard. People claim nobody listens to me. Well, they're listening.
No one ever hears me.
The other way, you can work them just like they work us.
That's right.
So there's no excuses.
I know, right?
One time, I was going to start an organization called the CIA, the Citizens Intelligence Agency, where I figure if the president can look in on my bedroom, I can look in on his.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be awesome?
Somehow, I suspect the actual CIA maybe stopped you from doing that.
Probably so. The Akashic Records, everything is being recorded by the universe. So we're getting close to it now with our satellite system and our nanotechnology. They have nanotechnology mosquitoes. It buzzes around. You have to be careful. If you swat a mosquito, you might be destroying $500,000 worth of military equipment.
Yeah, they're very small, these things, aren't they?
They really are. They actually have a cockroach. They crawls through the walls in ghetto areas so they can trace down and track down drug addicts. They also have or rather they have automatic programs. So a person will email you and draw you out for child molesting or whatever, drugs, whatever. And it's not even a human being. It's a robot that can answer like a regular human being. They have like 1,000 or maybe 1 million different responses. And so you think you're dealing with a human being. You make an appointment and the feds are waiting for you.
Wait a second. Explain that again. I didn't quite catch that. So say all that again. I didn't quite get all that.
You could be on Facebook and communicating with a robot and not know it. In other words, they program a little program that actually will respond to anything you answer with certain answers, and they will draw you into drugs or whatever and make you think that they're your friend. And say you make an appointment with a child. They at one time, about 15 years ago, they had about 50 of these programs loose on the internet. Wow. And so the child would say, meet me at this corner because I'm only 15 years old. The person would show up. And of course, they made an appointment with the robot, but they still go to jail for a long time. Wow. So they were saying that's the positive thing. Now, we don't know about the other crimes, the political, quote unquote, crimes, the drug crimes, the sex crimes, whatever they've got. Already this year, California has passed over 800 laws, so they're constantly making new laws.
So they passed 800 new laws just this year?
Yeah, that's about a yearly rate. Vibrant Gal and I have been checking up on that since we saw about 3 years ago that they mentioned that over 800 were passed in California. This is the state level. I'm not talking about the county level, the city level, the federal level, etc. There's lots more.
Well, that makes a lot of sense because the more laws you can pass, obviously, the more money you can make by putting people in prison. It's so bizarre because there are so many strange laws that are still on the books. Like what were some of them?
They're crazy. Like, don't wear a purple hat on every other Sunday while you walk your donkey. It's like, who makes this
from the
stuff?
1800s? But they're still on the books,
right?
Oh yeah, spitting on the sidewalk, etc. And they can get you on those if they need a technicality.
So is that about? You said that's about average. They do that about like hundreds of new laws per state per year. You think?
For the last 3 years in California. I'm not sure about the other states, but here we do.
Man.
So when they pass these laws, because I'm thinking about, something just rings in my memory and just in my consciousness, that whole, not just SB 277 here in California, which is the vaccinations of children that are going to go to public schools, but I forget what the number of it was for the GMO foods. But I suspect, those are just a couple examples of laws that, I just don't believe personally that those really got voted down. I think they just really just passed those, and they gave us the impression that we're going to vote and have our voice. But I don't really know. I don't really trust the voting system.
You know, there's certain things we don't know about either. When I first went to Texas, it was 99 years in jail at the state level for having one joint in your possession. And then they passed a law and loosened that up quite a bit shortly after. Well, the people who were convicted under that law, are they still in prison? I've never seen anybody say otherwise. So I don't know if they let them out on parole, or they could still keep a person in prison for that then, technically, if they didn't like them.
That's interesting. That's right. So if someone goes to jail for 99 years back when that law was enforced, and then they change that law to 1 year, that person could still be in prison for 98 years, and they would never, they went to prison under that sort of jurisdiction. So
unless you're the president, and they have all these presidential pardons just before they go out of office.
Wow.
Did you hear about that story of that child that he had committed? I think there was charges of murder against him, and he's 23 years old now. But I think at the age of 12 or 13, they tried him as an adult and found him guilty of murder. And I think about 3 or 4 years after that, they had a confession from another guy who confessed to the crimes, and they did some background checks and got his DNA, and sure enough, it was a match. And so they got the confession from the second guy, and he was guilty of the murder as a lone kind of guy. But yet this original kid who got convicted was still in prison for like 7 more years before he got out just recently.
Because of the system he had to jump through all the hoops of the exit process or something.
It's just crazy.
That's why if a person does go to prison, it behooves them to let people know they're still there, because then people pay attention. But after the news story is over, people just forget what happens. There's no aftermath in our media. So.
Right.
I was going to ask you, we were talking a little bit ago about chemtrails, and are you familiar, I'm sure you are, with this whole thing called tire dust?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
it's toxic. You're talking about when the dust that comes out of the tires actually is toxic when it gets in the air. Same thing with the asbestos in the brakes. And by the way, 10% of limonene, which is a lemon scent, is made from used automobile tires and truck tires.
Wait a second. So if you get a lemon air freshener, just conventional from CVS or some drugstore, it's going to have that in it?
You got a 10 to 15% chance, and they take other ones from other toxic sources too. So you have to be careful about these people.
Who even saw that potential? I'm going to make lemon scent out of tires.
I know, right?
What in the world?
So, what did you say was in the braking system of cars?
Asbestos?
Well, asbestos is in the brakes. So every time you just tap the brakes, this asbestos goes up in the air. So we're breathing in asbestos. And I don't think they do it in the new braking system, supposedly, or else they're enclosed better. But any car over a certain age, they're busy braking, and asbestos is flying through the air in our smog.
What's the point of that? What was the thought behind that?
They used to use it because it was good to catch the brake. You could stop faster.
Oh, my gosh.
Stop on a dime, whatever.
Oh, that's lovely. So that and tire dust, if you're living by a freeway or if you drive a car, your chances, you're going to be exposed to this stuff.
Yeah, the freeway is not a good place to live by.
It's not, is it?
How far away would you reckon?
Or a runway.
Or a runway of airports. Yeah, a lot of people have issues with air quality near runways.
Right.
Now, how far away would you, obviously the farther the better, but how far would you recommend someone live away from a freeway?
Mashed Potatoes, Idaho, maybe is a good place to live.
I know, right?
Actually, it depends on the winds. Like, we're about, 3 miles from the freeway here, but we have this strong wind that comes in, so it gets dispersed quite a lot. We don't get quite that much wind except during traffic hours. And here we have winds called the sundowners, very similar to the Santa Ana winds you guys get. And they are blowing in from the mountains, and there's nothing between here and Bakersfield, essentially, except a few small little towns, So we're pretty clear here. Also, this area, we don't even have fluoride in the water, so we're blessed. And Vibrant Gal was one of the protesters who protested about that when they were trying to get it in here.
Wow. And so that got knocked out?
Got knocked out in about, what year was that? about 98. She was there, one of the protesters, and they thought they had it. They thought they were going to get this area. San Diego has just given in. They were anti-fluoride for a long time, and about when I lived down there last in 2011, they had just gone into fluoride the year before.
How many? Are there many cities at all that don't have fluoride anymore?
I think it's only about 20%.
Oh my gosh! In the whole U.S.
Yep. And a lot of people don't realize it doesn't really come from the aluminum industry. It doesn't really come from the phosphate industry. The original source of it is the atomic industry, because they make something called uranium hexafluoride, and that means 1 atom of uranium to 6 atoms of fluoride. And because all their workers were dying, they actually got a hold of and made a collusion with the American Dental Association and said, it's good for you and good for your teeth. And so then all these workers who were dying could not sue, because they'd say, how can you sue for us for something that's perfectly harmless? It's good for your teeth.
Wow, that's amazing.
Not only that, but the Teflon industry, another toxic industry, Teflon was designed to protect the machinery from fluoride, because fluoride will destroy everything. Well, Teflon is fluoride proof, so they made that, and the people who are exposed to fluoride in the Teflon plants, and of course your parakeets, which are, when you cook on your fluoride, they die from that, and human beings are also toxified. So the original cause of the fluoride industry is the uranium or the atomic industry.
Isn't that bizarre? So we did a whole.
Of course, the phosphate and aluminum industries, they get to dump basically toxic waste with skull and crossbones in our water supply.
I posted something on our Facebook account maybe a week ago, and it went through this news story talking about all the toxicities in conventional tap water, and the list that they say on the actual news is just mind blowing. I was so shocked and amazed that they would actually admit that on the news. But they were talking about pharmaceutical residues. They were talking about chemotherapy, drugs that people have taken. And they were talking about all the waste, coming from the waste of people when they flush their toilets, and how that gets into the water supply. And I just thought, wow, I'm just so amazed that they would even share that.
Yep, there's someone living about 2 miles from us named Ido McGowan, who warns how dangerous gray water is, and a lot of MRSA is caused by the gray water. And they put it on school grounds. All you have to do is scrape your elbows, and you're in danger of getting MRSA from that gray water. Mm-hmm. Not only the viruses come from the hospitals, but their genetic patterns without the virus will slip through the finest filters and get right in the lawns that are being used with gray water.
Yeah, I remember you talked about that on one of our previous shows. You talked all about the gray water. That was interesting.
Very dangerous. And Ido McGowan is he's a world expert. He worked in Africa with about 20 African countries. He's a New World Order guy himself, and he's out there warning people here in Santa Barbara who won't listen to him about it. He's got at least one video on YouTube. He's an interesting guy, Ido McGowan.
How do you spell his name?
Ido is E-D-O, and McGowan is M-C-G-O-W-A-N.
Okay, I've just pulled him up here. Wow. And so he's a local guy near you?
Local guy, just right down the road, probably 2 miles.
Wow, that's interesting. We had Dr. David Kennedy on the show on episode 53, and he went into the whole fluoride thing with the water. And I think that was near the time that San Diego had just given in and started fluoridating all of their waters. We have a Berkey system where we have we bought 2 extra fluoride filters that you can dump into those things and get rid of all the fluoride in your water. But it's really quite alarming, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, Berkey's good. They used it in Iraq, or soldiers. It's one of the best systems. I've used Berkey before. Mm-hmm. We use a distiller now to make sure.
Yeah, you really got to
sufficient.
Yeah, you really got to do your sort of water alchemy at home, don't you?
You do. Fluoride is one of the worst toxins out there. And remember, because it interacts with anything, it makes anything else more toxic. It makes mercury, lead, whatever, because it will dissolve everything. So something that your fat may have encapsulated to protect you from it. It just goes in and dissolves it, and off it goes through your blood and lymph system and your brain.
And what would you recommend for someone who has, I was just talking to someone a couple of days ago who was sharing an experience that he had earlier in his life with bacteria-resistant, sort of a MRSA infection, staph infection, I think he said it was. Have you ever known anyone personally that have, like a friend or family member that has had that? And what would you recommend for someone that does get that?
A friend, it's very serious, and one person that I know almost lost his leg here, but somehow it just miraculously stopped. There's a lot of things to do for immunity, and one thing is sun-synchronized eating. Eating on time helps to build immunity. That's the whole idea of it, or the major idea of it. When you eat things at a certain time, make an appointment essentially with your tomatoes and potatoes, and it's just like you wouldn't make an appointment with we couldn't do this radio show if we didn't know what time we were going to hook up.
Right.
Well, the same thing. You hook up with your almonds in the morning, your tomatoes in the middle of the day, your potatoes at night, and everything works out hunky-dory.
Yeah, it's funny because as we've been doing shows together, excuse me, over time, it's just been sort of a gradual progression on my side of eating more on time, and now it just becomes more of a natural thing. Like, fish would be eaten at night, the fruits in the morning. It just makes a lot of sense, and it's just something that I just do naturally now.
Yep. People think it's complicated, but actually once you learn it, it's easy. And when you think of it, people usually are on a time control system, often backwards. They'll eat eggs in the morning. Well, all you're doing is shifting your eggs till nighttime, and it's not a huge difference. It's just relearning. And basically, since you're looking at your tree foods in the morning, your vine foods in the middle of the day, and your root foods at night, and then the animals that eat them accordingly, it becomes really easy. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure out.
Now, if someone were to eat like chicken, or if they were to eat something like a steak or something, as far as that being an animal food, is there a difference between chicken and steak? And if there's not, what time would that be, an afternoon food or an evening food? It
depends. Well, a chicken is midday, and beef is midday, and fish are nighttime. So it depends on what the animal eats. You can eat some rabbit at night because they tend to eat carrots. They go for root vegetables. So you look at what they tend to eat. Cows eat grain. They're obviously going to be a midday food. And chickens mostly eat grain and things like that. They eat bugs and things also. But you have to be careful because the chicken gets kind of mixed up when you start feeding them all kinds of fish products and things, which they do, and give them yellow fat disease, and they get problems.
Right.
So, but the chicken, because of its unique geometry, even though you're feeding them fish liver oil, is midday, but it's not your highest choice because you're going to have conflicting time zones. Same thing when they use genetics, and they can combine like a fish with a tomato, or a classic example is the people that got toxified by eating a Brazil nut that was connected to a soybean. Now, they didn't get connected from eating that as a cereal. They fed that protein to cows, and people who ate the meat got the allergy to the Brazil nuts.
Really? So they fed Brazil nuts mixed with soybeans to cows?
Yep. So it's not only what you eat, it's what you ate before you eat it.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I can just go on forever, right?
It can, and that's a classic case. Anyone can get on the internet and research the soybean to Brazil nut combination.
Wow. So people that listen to these types of shows, I know I'm one of them when I listen to other shows that are just like this, often wonder, what does the guest eat, and what time, in your case, what time do they eat it? So I'm just curious, your diet today, what did you have today?
Okay, now I'm kind of an anomaly. We eat kind of a little different. Don't think that sun-synchronized eating has to be so extreme. But we just eat the whole foods. So for breakfast, I had 3 almonds, a walnut, some cashews, a few pistachios, a pear, a fig, and not a dried one, but a fresh one. They're in season. And let's see, and some cobalamin tonic, which is coffee, cocoa, and maple syrup, all in time.
So now, what time did you eat that? And was there any break between the nuts and the fruit and the cobalamin tonic?
The ideal time to eat that would be stomach time between 7 and 9 in the morning, but because we went to the farmer's market this morning, we ate at about 10:30, and that's okay as long as you're eating your morning foods from 12:30 in the morning all the way till noon. That gives you a big leeway for breakfast foods. It's not good to be eating early in the morning, though. It's a little tough on digestion. The liver likes to take a nap at that time. Between 1 and 3 is liver time, and it really does best to build its glycogen and other chemicals in the middle of the night.
So did you heat, or did you let any time go by after the breakfast until the cobalamin tonic?
No, right after, because the cobalamin tonic will stimulate your neurology and help your digestion. It's not just what you eat, it's what you eat with something to stimulate the digestion. So say, there's been cases of people who have terrible indigestion at home, but when they go out to a restaurant and they get stimuli like music and camaraderie and all of this and lights and everything, they can eat everything, including metal, anything they will go down their stomach. As soon as they get home again, their neurology gets turned off. Now, that can be a problem because when you watch food commercials on the television, they get you two ways. One, they make you hungry and go eat the food because you've made the stomach acid. And two, they get you've made stomach acid, you don't put anything in your stomach, and then it can cause all kinds of things like ulcers and other gastric problems.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, that's right. Because when you're looking at some food on like a dessert, just the other day I was at the gym and I was working out, and there was a commercial for I think it was BJ's Pizza. It may be a local thing here in California, but they have these things called Pazookies, and they're basically vanilla ice cream on top of a cookie, like a freshly made chocolate chip cookie, but it's in like a deep dish sort of pie thing, and so it becomes this whole big dessert that people get, and they're kind of famous for these things called Pazookies. And when you're watching that, you're sort of craving that, right? And your stomach's probably creating some sort of stomach acid.
It does. In
fact,
not only that, but you'll triple the amount of saliva in your mouth. You'll notice that you're drooling a lot of times when you watch commercials.
It's interesting you say that because I've heard recently that if you were to do a fast, and I'd like your take on this, if someone were to do a fast and they were to put something in their hand and sort of sniff it and smell it and look at it like maybe like a lemon or something very tart like that, and you start creating all of these digestive enzymes in your saliva and you swallow that. I've heard people say that those could be a good thing if you're on a fast, because what it's doing is your body's preparing to eat that, obviously, but then those enzymes that you create in your saliva can go throughout your body as sort of like Pac-Man and eat up undigested, materials and things. Is there any benefit to that, do you think?
Yes, there can be. Now, be aware that frequent fasting can sometimes cause problems. It's a good way to create gallstones. When the fat is being digested like that and not handled totally, you get gallstones. But overall, it usually works better for most people because a fast that is done for 3 days, your body just shuts down. Nothing is being cleansed because the body goes into like suspended animation. So a true fast would be 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off, and then you'll really shake up your body, but perhaps even too much.
What do you mean by 3 days on? 3 days on the fast, or 3 days on food and then 1 day fast?
Yeah, 3 days where you're fasting and then take a day and eat something and then go right back to fasting for 3 days. Then your body is in turmoil because it's really cleansing. Otherwise, it really does go into suspended animation. That's why people say, wow, after the third day, a fast is easy, It's up to the third day that's hard. Well, there's a reason.
So you wouldn't recommend that?
Yes, no, maybe. Fasting always has side effects, but I do know, I once met a lady in her 50s, probably, maybe more, at the health food store, and she said, I want to tell you a story. There was a little girl who had cancer and only was supposed to have less than a year to live, and the parents gave her nothing but grapes. It's called the grape cure.
I've heard about this.
And so they would cry because the baby would be crying for food, and all they would give the kid was grape juice. And she said, and that little girl, That was me over 50 years ago, and I'm still alive to tell about it.
What kind of cancer did she have?
She didn't tell me.
Wow.
So I wish I had pumped her for more details, actually.
Yeah, I've heard about that before, the grape cure. It's like a grape fast, like you just eat grapes, right?
Yep. And remember, a true fast where you're totally on a water fast can really be very destructive to your body. But you're getting the sugar to maintain and stop the protein from breaking down in your body when you take something with sugar in it. So fruit sugar, fructose and things like that, natural fructose I'm talking about, are very good for fasting because you don't get the breakdown of protein, which is very hard. Doctors say impossible. I don't believe that, but very hard to replace the protein in muscle.
You know, I was going to ask you, too, what are your thoughts about doing this thing? I do it every so often, and it's sort of I do it like a fast on a Sunday, and I do as many different sorts of raw, or it doesn't have to be raw, but just sort of either fermented vegetable juice. I'll do lots of vegetable juice. I'll do a bone broth. I'll do basically liquids, and sometimes what I'll do is in those liquids I might put powders in there. So I'll fast from solid food, but I'll have a green powder, or maybe I'll have colostrum, or we got this whey protein that we promote as well as the colostrum in our store from Surthrival and One World Whey, and I'll put these powders in into my liquids, and along with the bone broth and the vegetable juice, I seem to be doing very well on that just for like a 1-day fast. Do you think it would be more beneficial to do something different, or what are your thoughts about, like, sort of, it's not really fast because I'm still consuming like powders, but I don't know what you'd call that.
That's an excellent idea. And remember, a fast has to do with timing. We either have a fast or a slow. So it speeds up your metabolism and causes it to clear things out. Yeah, so it's very beneficial. Yeah, because I would imagine that, even if you're consuming bone broth, because I tried to do it with just vegetable juice, and it was just really challenging. And then some people have talked about doing just bone broth, and that gets to be a little bit weird for me. But if I'm sort of counterbalancing those two, the bone broth almost feels like a meat meal. It's like the meat of the fast, kind of, because it kind of satiates you a little bit more than the vegetable juice. But doing the powders and stuff during in the liquids of that fast, it doesn't seem like your body would have to break that down as much as it would even a piece of fruit, right? No, it protects you. And also, fruit, remember, actually has free-form amino acids, the thing bodybuilders pay $30, $40 a bottle. I used to sell injectable-grade amino acids to bodybuilders when I was working for one health food store in Portland. What was injectable? Amino acids, free-form amino acids. But you actually get them. There's more free-form amino acids in a Burbank potato than you can get in those $40 supplements. Wow. So they didn't tell you that. So you get a complete protein and peptides in what we usually go for protein, like meat and things like that. But they don't tell you that you can get the free-form amino acids from raw vegetables. And, I mean, look at a bison, and look at a horse, and look at an elephant. They don't need steak to have muscles that are stronger than human beings, or a lot of meat eaters or carnivores. You know what I like about the dietary approach? It's more like a philosophy, I think, a way. It's like a framework of eating, because your dietary approach is awesome. Because if someone eats an Ayurvedic diet, if they eat a raw food diet, if they eat a paleo diet, if they eat, God, there's so many different types of diets out there. They can apply these principles no matter what they're eating. If you were to make gosh, it's so hard to say this, but if you were to make a generalization, would you say that eating meat and food higher on the food chain is probably something that is beneficial, but you don't want to do, you should make it a small part of your diet? I mean, I know that it varies for each person and different times in their life, but in general, would that be a safe assumption, you think? I would say so. In general, to me, when longevity experts study yeast and rats and things like that, they're missing the point. They rarely study someone like Olivia de Havilland, who's 100 years old, or Hugh Hefner, who's 90. They go to yeast and things. What you want to do is find out who's living the most. And so far, it seems that people who eat lower on the food chain, like the Turban Tornado. This is a guy 105 years old. He's running marathon races for 25 miles. Yeah. And he eats basically dal or beans grains and just a few vegetables and a little milk. That's it. Milk for the fat content. And ghee sometimes, those sort of things. So mostly I've known people, it seems to me I don't see many people who are in ketosis, for instance, who end up in their hundreds. It's really rare.
Really?
So far, but if anybody can name some people that do that, I'd like to know. I hear them saying that it's longevity, Weston Price and all that, but I just don't see them. I can't think of a name. I can think of lots of names of people who eat low on the food chain and who eat meat, but they make sure it's balanced with vegetables. And chocolate seems to be a staple in some of these elderly people.
Yeah, there was that lady that died. I think she died recently. I'm not sure, but I think she was 114 or something. And they said, they asked her about her diet, and she said her diet is nightly glasses of wine and I think 2.2 pounds of chocolate per week or something.
You got it. A kilo of chocolate a week.
Yeah. Isn't that bizarre?
Something or other. Yeah. 126, I believe she made it to.
You can't beat that, right? Chocolate and wine.
Chocolate and wine.
It's like, what a great diet.
And we have someone up here named Beatrice Wood, used to live in Ojai. In fact, Vibrant Gal knew her. She made it to 104, 105, and she said the secret to longevity was chocolate and young men.
Yeah, there's something about that, right? I mean, like you were talking about earlier, when you go out to eat and you're with friends and good company and music, and I mean, there's something about being around, that sort of energy, right?
Yeah, I knew Beatrice Wood's chiropractor too, and he said she was a delightful person. So she had that zest for life. And it seems people who don't have things to live for or live in the negative, it's the people who have positive attitudes. And we notice here in Montecito, when we read the obituaries, they tend to be centenarians because they're happy. They got lots of money and they're living in an estate with trees all around them. And so they tend to live a long time.
Yeah, that's a great thing. Yeah, 2.2 pounds of chocolate. I think that is that's a lovely diet.
It is, yeah. And chocolate really is healthy. There's a lot about it. They used to say it caused breast tumors and all kinds of things. That was all disproved, by the way.
Well,
however, you have to be careful. Placebo effect. It's called the nocebo effect, which is a negative. If you believe something is bad for you, then it can definitely be bad for you.
Right.
Well, I came back at a good point in this conversation. Walked out. I had to walk the puppies and came back, but we're talking about chocolate.
I know, chocolate. We're just talking about chocolate wine.
2 pounds of, whoa.
Well, that lady that lived to, I think you said 126, Adam.
It was either 124 or 126.
Yeah. Her diet was nightly glasses of wine. I think she was French. Nightly glasses of wine and a kilo of chocolate or 2 pounds of chocolate a week.
Now, if she meant nightly between 5 and 7 o'clock kidney time, she was right on time for wine, because that's the best time to drink wine. And once a lady came in and asked me, when I managed a health food store locally here, she said, what can I do for my kidneys? And I pointed her over to the liquor store and said, go get some wine and take it between 5 and 7. And she said, this is the first time I've ever gone to a health food store, and the guy sends me to a liquor store.
He just redirects you. You get redirected to the liquor store. I love it. But
then she remembered that she used to drink wine when she came home from work at 6 o'clock, and it was the only thing that gave her relief from the pain in her kidneys.
So I got to ask you, what are your thoughts about wine in general? Do you think it's a good thing? Depending on if you get organic, sulfite-free, and all of that stuff, and you do it at the right time, in the right setting, and for the right reasons, do you think it could be good?
For the right reasons and small amount, it really will start to block digestion. But sometimes, again, it stimulates the nervous system, so it can help people, particularly when wine is drank in company by several people. You get those good vibes, and your digestion will actually increase. If you're depressed and you drink that wine, it will actually it tends to turn down the digestion. That's been shown by a guy who had a hole in the stomach for about 20 years, and a doctor named Dr. Beaumont, a military doctor, looked at every meal he ate for about 11 years on and off, and determine the digestion time. And alcohol definitely would usually inhibit the digestion under normal circumstances.
I wonder what is it? I wonder what properties is inhibiting it.
Causes that?
Estrogenic.
Oh.
Definitely estrogenic.
There you go.
Interesting. You know,
that causes a lot of problems. You know, it's not the female hormone; it's a stress hormone. It should be kept in your holster, but doctors want you to walk around shooting it all the time like a gun.
Huh. Yeah.
Estrogen determines the male sex. You know, it doesn't determine the female sex. In uterine, it causes you to be a male if you get a estrogen bath, not a female.
Say that again?
Estrogen actually in the womb determines the male sex. If you get estrogen, you get a male. If you don't get estrogen, you get a female. So how possibly is that a female hormone?
Right. That's so interesting.
And you can look that up. It's there, but it's hard to find because they tend to hide that because estrogen is made by just burning candle wax. You'll get all these different estrogens. Progesterone, you can only get one. So they act like they make all these different and manufacture all these different estrogens for you to take of different types. Well, they're already there. They were invented by nature, and it's such an easy gig. They don't have to spend any money. They just do reports about, 10,000 pages, give it to the FDA, they get their cut, and you get these fake estrogens. But the natural estrogen is just as bad and sometimes worse than the fake estrogens.
So you're talking about like hormone replacement therapy type?
You bet.
Okay.
You bet. There may be a reason that it cuts off at that time. Just like, would you want the hormones necessarily of a 6-year-old who is building protein rapidly, and if you get too much of it, it could cause cancer by having too much potassium in an absence of calcium.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's not a good idea all the time. So we have stages. It doesn't mean you're getting old. So a lot of times people mix up this. They set a mean time, like 30 years old. That's how your hormones are supposed to be your whole life.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. It's about timing.
It's about timing. Mm-hmm. We were talking on a walk today. We took a lot earlier about. Is it true, as far as your knowledge, that it's the male sperm that determines the sex of the baby?
I've heard the otherwise, and Swami Nitty-Gritty, Donald Lay, who I studied with, said the same thing. The female is the one that chooses. The male may get there, but the ovum is the one that actually puts out the lasso and says, "You're mine, buddy."
Really?
And as Swami Nitty-Gritty put it, he said it's preset from the time, from the third ejaculate, the sperm coming down is the one that's going to make it, and the ovum is busy saying, "Sperm 263, sperm 263, are you there? Are you there?"
Whoa.
Come here, big boy. You know, the sperm, just like our brain, the ovum is our brain. It grows into our brain. It doesn't move. It just has all the body go toward it. The sperm is the one that does all the work, just like our spine. The spine has the ambulators, our arms and legs that wave around and do the work, and the ovum is the boss. Come here, big boy.
Huh.
So in comparison to the human body, I guess that makes sense. So the ovum would be like the brain or the head, and then the sperm would be like the spine.
Well, look at it. It's like the spine. If you look at a spine, Kundalini is actually the sperm doing this little wiggling, to get motive power to get where it needs to go.
Wow.
And the brain is obviously enclosed in an exoskeleton around the skull. Mm-hmm. It's where all the master control center is, and it gives orders to the sperm. And the medulla oblongata is the place where the sperm penetrates the ovum, and it goes right into that area, the most sensitive area in the body. If an assassin kills you in that area, you can't yell out. Any place else, they shoot you or stab you in the brain, you'll cry out. But instantaneously, time occurs at the medulla oblongata, and it is the 8th chakra, the highest chakra, not the pituitary or the pineal gland.
And the medulla oblongata is at the base of the skull in the back and kind of just above the neck. Is that correct?
Right above the axis. Yep. The medulla. And it regulates our breathing, our eating, all kinds of our major functions, and is instantaneous.
They call that the mouth of God, don't they?
You got it. That's exactly what it is. The mouth of man is exactly, if you draw a line from the mouth of man back directly, you'll reach the mouth of God.
It's funny because when you look at the human body, it almost looks like we look like a sperm in a sense, where you have the head and then the body that wiggles.
The sperm's head is the medulla oblongata. That's the exact place where the sperm penetrates the ovum, so it better be instant.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything else is an outgrowth, like layers that we grow. First we grow the reptile brain, the so-called reptile brain, then the mammalian, then the human brain is the neocortex, the new cortex shell.
So I wanted to get back to you because I asked you about what foods you ate, and you start off with your breakfast. But what did you have for lunch and dinner today?
Okay, I had a very light lunch today. All I had was Hungarian pepper cooked with some beans and a couple of tomatoes, much lighter than usual. Because usually Vibrant Gal takes the blender and blenderizes some zucchini and cilantro. She's cueing me here. And vegetables together. Then I have about 4 tomatoes. I have some beans. I have some raw cheese. I have some things like that. Again, if you eat in restaurants and things, you can still do this diet. It's a bit fattish the way we do it because we don't even get anything or very little anything in a bottle or a can. And if you go to a Mexican restaurant, the beans are going to be midday. The chicken burrito is going to be all midday. The grain that it's wrapped in, or the corn, is midday. Everything but the avocado. You'd have to eat that in the morning, and you could get by that with a loophole called 11:30 to 12 o'clock is what you call a transition time, and both of them come together at that time, so you can add your avocado. And by the way, it's more important what you get than you don't get. So if you want a little guacamole with your taco and everything else is midday, it's not really to worry about.
Mm-hmm. So what was for dinner tonight?
And dinner we haven't eaten. We'll eat after the show. We're going to have baked potato, which is an excellent source of protein. We dextrinize it. Do not cook it in any kind of foil. And then we will have an egg apiece. And we will have some onion, and we'll have a little garlic, and we'll have a little what? Carrot. And we'll have a little carrot, and we have a little carrot grated with a little olive oil and vinegar on to kill the bad bacteria in our intestines.
I hear carrots, raw carrots, are especially good for hormones and controlling and regulating estrogen and things.
They can help. Now, too much can actually shut down the vitamin A level and cause problems. Beta-carotene is a good storage form of vitamin A, but sometimes if you have too much of it, it can backfire. Mm-hmm. Also, if you have it at the wrong time. We eat the beta-carotene from a carrot in the evening, and let's see, what would be an example of one in the middle of the day? Perhaps in certain peppers and things like that, you might have beta-carotene or other carotenoids.
That sounds like a good dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love potatoes. We adore potatoes. And now when the season comes in, I like something called a Japanese sweet potato. And I go crazy for those. We get them at the farmer's market probably in August.
Oh,
I mean in October, excuse me.
How are they different? What are they?
Well, they don't have much beta-carotene in, and once you taste one of those, I can't even eat a regular sweet potato anymore.
Really?
And I used to love them. Yeah, Japanese sweet potatoes are to live for.
So do you put a little bit of butter on that, or can you do that at night?
Lots of butter. In fact, to avoid yellow fat disease, you simply slather butter all over the fish, and it will select the saturated fat over the polyunsaturated fat. Remember, all atherosclerosis is caused by polyunsaturated fatty acids. There are no saturated fat in the arteries.
No saturated fat in the arteries. Okay, that makes sense because like saturated fats would be good fats like coconut oil and butter and things like that, right?
Structural, especially butter and olive oil are probably the best I know. And coconut oil is better for people who live in the tropics and temperate zones. Not quite as good in Canada, places like that.
Okay.
We're okay. Where you're located, coconut oil is great.
But wouldn't butter be because we talked about the steak of the cow, and you said that was more of a midday food, but if you're going to put butter on fish would be an evening food. Wouldn't that be mixing the midday foods with the evening foods?
The good news is butter's neutral. You can eat it 3 times a day.
Oh, that's right.
Butter's a wild card.
I know, it's a wild card, right? It's like...
That's right. Certain foods just don't seem to matter much for timing. Rice tends to have no specific times. Tomatoes are particularly selective. They turn on and turn off at certain times of the day. They even have small intestine time is a real good time to eat tomatoes. Other foods, more lax. You'll get away with whey. It tends toward neutrality. It's better in the middle of the day, but you can eat it other times a day. And most dairy products, with perhaps a couple exceptions to the rule, which I can't think of right now, are pretty much midday. If you do cheese in the evening, you're going to get muked out like this,
Right.
So if you eat it in the midday, you won't get near as much mucus, and you eat it in. Things should be eaten in balance. Just because you eat in time doesn't mean you go crazy and eat 5 pounds of cheese or whatever.
We were talking this week in the kitchen while doing something, and Justin, I think you said it was David Wolf, who is going on a lot lately about rice being really high in arsenic levels. Do you know anything about that?
That's right, high in arsenic.
If you eat, all of these foods have toxins in. And nowadays, if you're buying foods, and even the farmers can't guarantee that they're going to have pure foods, you're going to get these things. So when you eat them on time, it puts the arsenic and these other chemicals into a time frame, and you eliminate it. In other words, if you eat one meal for breakfast, another one for lunch, and one for dinner, they tend to pass it on through the body. When you eat either one meal a day or at the wrong time, it tends to store it. So you clean nickel and cadmium and mercury and these chemicals out much quicker. Fluoride also.
Yeah, that's good to know, because I'm dealing with a little bit of a copper overload, and I'm thinking, because I had to give up for a while things like avocado and chocolate and things I love like that, but I think maybe I should just add them back in slowly at the right time and see what happens.
Yep, you gradually do that. And also you can do things like, let me think what the nut is. It's called hazelnut. Hazelnut actually is rich in zinc, so it'll oppose the copper. And the copper is going to be in the Brazil nut. So you want more copper, you eat Brazil nuts. You want more zinc, you eat hazelnut.
Hazelnut, yeah.
Brazil nuts are a great food, aren't they? Because they're one of the few, sort of like seaweeds. There's not many wild foods that people can include in their diet, and because I think it's chocolate but Brazil nuts and seaweeds are good for that reason, aren't they?
They are, and we regret we're not able to eat Brazil nuts right now because the only ones we can get have mold on them, and that's been disappointing because it used to be a regular in our diet.
Blast! How did that happen?
I have no idea. In fact, a good friend of ours named Gebby brought him down from San Francisco with him to visit us and said, try these. And they had mold in them too. So the ones we get at the local health food supermarket and every place we've got them so far has mold in them.
And you can see the mold?
Oh, you can taste it.
You can taste it.
We spit it out right away.
Oh, goodness.
What a bust.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research on fungus and the whole mushroom kingdom lately, and yeah, it's a bizarre substance, and you don't want to be consuming that.
If you cook the mushroom, it's healthy. Some mushrooms will actually have a type of B12 that humans can handle. Certain things do, certain things don't. Chlorella has a B12 humans can handle. Spirulina does not. It's a different type of B12. So mushrooms, when they're cooked well, and I mean not just lightly sautéed, but maybe 10, 15 minutes to make sure, and buttered, they're very good food, and they will help the protein content in your potato even more for people who are like bodybuilding or something like that.
Now, Adam, are you going to have any issues tonight? We're recording this, like I said at the beginning of the show, a rare evening podcast here. It's 8:15 p.m. where we are recording this right now. And if you're eating, say, at 8:30, is that going to be an issue? What time would you go to bed tonight? And is there an issue eating so close to bed? Or is this something that, every now and then, you kind of just do it because you have to? But is there an issue for that, for you and how your body reacts to eating late and going to bed?
We tend to eat later, and a lot of people think that you shouldn't eat late. Some people don't even eat at night, but actually it helps your sleep level, especially the sugar content of the food, because we sugarize our potato by dextrinizing it. It's not starch anymore. Starch tends to be toxic, but when you sugarize it by dextrinizing it, it detoxifies it and assures you a really good night's sleep. Actually, the more I started adding more sweetener into my sleep, and before we go to bed about liver time, 1 to 3 in the morning, I have 2 oranges at that time, and the extra sugar in that not only gives me adequate vitamin C and more so, but it just knocks me out like like a
melatonin.
Yeah, but actually, and I'm disappointed about that because Swami Nitty Gritty didn't sleep at all, and he told me I would master sleep, but I haven't done it yet.
You're still working on it, huh?
Yeah, I have to stick around a couple more decades to work that out.
There you go.
How many hours do you sleep then?
Yeah, it varies. Anything from 4 hours to 8 hours. It just depends on the night and what blog I'm doing or what whatever I'm doing.
Research and stuff.
Yeah.
Book I'm reading, research. Yeah, I might get carried away finding some good find on the internet, and there I am in the morning still.
Yeah, 3 in the morning.
Sleep is for the weak.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for joining us.
Eat.
Yeah, I want you to be able to get your dinner somewhat early tonight. And so if you guys are fascinated by this information, he's got a great book you should check out called Yes, No, Maybe. And you can find that on Amazon, and you can buy his book. And also, you're still running Sun-Sync Nutrition, and people can learn more about it on that website as well?
Well, the Sun-Sync Nutrition is the one that's a $99 subscription one. And go to our solartiming.com to find out what we're about. We have a lot of photographs. We have funny pictures. We have a list of all the books and what they are. We have personal stories. There's a lot of different categories. And we have a man named Jean Dubois in the Netherlands who has just made our site. I mean, it's one of the best sites on the internet. We just really love John for the work that he's done for us. You know, he's got categories for the yellow fat disease, body dowsing, placebo power, biological rhythms, diamond body, photos and visuals, sound facts and interviews, on and on and on and on.
Wow.
So, great place to go. That's absolutely free.
So solartiming.com.
Solartiming.com, and you pretty much find out what we're doing there. And then for people who want to join, I do a series of blogs there. We have a color recycling chart where you, or video, where you go through an immunity building video of colors, and I'll list them. It's black, gray, brown, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, white. We just recycled your entire audience, including ourselves.
Just by hearing that.
Yep. Automatically, your immunity is increased when you hear. You don't even have to visualize them because there's a place in the brain where the word links with the color, and we'll do it. It is better to see the colors or visualize the colors, however. And we also do that on a weekly basis, like I'm wearing black tonight because it's Saturday night, the best power night for black, and I'll be wearing white tomorrow morning.
Ah, that is so interesting. So those colors you can wear.
Because it's Sunday like Jesus.
I know.
That's right. And by the way, when you do the type of fast you described, Justin, it's better to do that on a Saturday because our immunity is actually set in a rhythm called circa septans, a fancy word for 7-day rhythms, and you'll increase your immunity if you do that particular type of fasting on a Saturday.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Huh.
Sat means holy, you know.
That's right. That's
one
right.
definition of it besides Saturn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow,
fascinating. So people can go to solartiming.com, check out your book, Yes, No, Maybe, and you have a bunch of other books that you sell on there, ebooks and things. And then if people are really interested, they can go over to sunsyncnutrition.com, SUNSYNC, Sun-Sync Nutrition, and then they can become a member and they get all kinds of really cool things.
Yep, on Solar Timing, we have books from A to Y, from Acidify or Die, an intriguing title, yes, to Yellow Fat Disease. They're all listed there. And I urge your listeners to go to Amazon so that you support you two and get the Yes, No, Maybe book through you guys.
Oh, thanks, Adam. Yeah, we're getting more and more people buying through our Amazon link, so it really helps us. That's awesome.
Great. You have a great show, and we want to support you.
Thanks, Adam. Well, I will let you go because I know Vibram Gal is probably sitting behind you now or in the kitchen signaling to you, saying, Adam, we need to eat.
The potatoes are ready.
Potatoes are ready?
Pretty soon, yep.
Awesome, Adam. Thanks for being on. I really appreciate you being flexible with the schedule, and I really appreciate this a lot.
Anytime, both of you. And I'm glad you could make it, Kate. I'm glad we all got to talk.
Thank you so much, Adam. I was looking forward to this. I'm sorry I had to jet out there in the middle, but it was great.
The dogs got walked, and we're all ready to go.
The dogs got walked. We're all good.
We're good to go.
Everything's groovy, yeah.
Awesome, Adam. I'll be in touch again soon, and let's do this again, in a couple months or a month or so.
Yeah, anytime. You bet.
Awesome.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you so much, Adam. And tell Vibrant Gal we said hello.
Good night.
Okay.
Happy New You.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Happy New You.
Happy New You.
I like that.
I like that. Happy New Year? Is that Happy New Year or?
No, I think he's like, we're beginning again. I think that's what that meant.
I like that.
It's like, hey, we're becoming new every day.
I'm going to change my fasting day to Saturday then.
Okay.
How do you like that?
I like them apples.
How do you like them apples?
I love those apples. Yeah, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's one of the more fascinating characters that we have on the show.
I don't know if I quite understood why. Did you understand why the fasting? I have to listen to that again.
It's something to do with I'm trying to think. Gosh, he has so much
packed with information.
I swear he gets his stuff from some other dimension.
Off-planetary.
Yeah, but it's something to do with, I think the week, starts on Sunday kind of thing, and it's more of a cleansing day.
And Sat is holy.
Yeah.
Is that why Seventh-day Adventists, they do their church on Saturday, right?
They do their church on Saturday. Maybe they just intuitively know that.
Yeah, there might be something to that, actually. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
What's today? Is today Saturday?
Saturday, yeah.
I didn't do my fast today. Boo.
Start a week. I think you can make it one more week if you've been eating your whole life like this.
Yeah.
I think you can do it.
How'd the dogs go on the walk?
They did good. They were like, Charlie's like a drunken sailor.
Is she?
Weaving all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Maggie was just like a bullet because she knows the route.
Uh-huh.
So it was like my two arms were being like, I was like Gumby arms.
Did you just do the loop or something short?
I just went right down to the field. It was cute.
Oh.
And there was the white bunny, Shiloh.
Oh, Shiloh.
And she was staring down those dogs and they were staring at her and knew Charlie. She's so cute. She had her paw up like she was hunting. Like she looked at it and she just would not let it go.
Oh, cute.
But we didn't get charged by Shiloh, so that's a good day.
That's a good
ending to a good night.
It's a good day whenever you don't get charged by Shiloh.
Shiloh is ruthless.
Well, she has to be.
She's a wild rabbit.
Yeah, she's a wild rabbit, and she fends off coyotes and everything else.
She's crazy. She started out as someone's pet, and she's this beautiful white rabbit, and she just has been wild in the neighborhood for like at least a year.
Yeah, and on every
coyotes everywhere.
Street corner, you see people
bull.
putting signs of their cats that have been killed or went missing because coyotes come and eat them. And,
right.
And this little Shiloh is somehow...
She's just wild Shiloh.
We're going to miss Shiloh.
The rabbit.
We're going to miss her. We'll come back. We should put her on our Instagram. Shiloh.
There was a Shiloh sighting.
The neighborhood cat, or the neighborhood rabbit.
I tried to go up and pet her one time because our friend Robert feeds it blueberries every morning and carrots. And it's like a really loving rabbit, but it's gnarly. Yeah. I tried to go up to it and it just like charged me, and I was scared. Yeah.
Those little two front teeth.
They can. Yeah.
Well, they can cut through carrots, so they can, break the skin, I'm sure.
Oh, I've been bit by a rabbit growing up.
Did you really?
Yeah. Oh, it's not fun. And I got bit by a hamster. I got bit by all kinds of animals. Maggie bit me.
Yeah, that's not good.
They want my blood.
They want your blood. They want your blood. Well, if you guys want to look at our new little puppy dog, she's on our Instagram.
She's an Instagram star. She's a sensation.
She's a sensation.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram. She's cute, man.
Yeah, she's cute.
Yeah, we won't bore everyone. We won't be posting dog pictures all the time, but
yeah,
every now and then, pretty cute.
Pretty cute. All right, guys. So this was, let me see if I can get this correct. 450. So if you want to check out our sponsors for today's podcast, or if you want to get access to Adam Bergstrom's sites, the links to those, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/450. And if you enjoyed this show, if you liked it, if you like what we're doing, consider joining the community we have growing on Patreon. Patreon is a service that allows you to donate to people that create things like podcasts, radio shows, TV shows, web shows, pieces of art, articles, or books. People that are creative and do stuff can now have their community support them on a per creation basis. So if you like what we're doing, and if you've gotten any benefit over the years of what we do, please go over to Patreon. There'll be a link on the right-hand side of our website, and we would really appreciate that. You can donate. I think right now we do 12 shows a month. So if you want to donate 50 cents a show or whatever it is that you feel that we've benefited you, feel free to do that. We would greatly appreciate it. That's how we are able to do that many shows, is because of all of your support, so we appreciate that. Also, thank you to all you guys, like we mentioned during the show, who purchased through our Amazon link. A lot of people write in and they ask, do I have to buy something health related? Do I have to purchase, what if I want to buy some like a bike or, some sheets or something like that. And anything you buy on Amazon after you click our link, that helps to support us. So we appreciate that. Thank you to all of you guys that do that.
Super grateful, guys. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And then also we have our store as well. Lots of really cool products in our store. Everything from saunas to blenders to juicers to rebounders, all kinds of cool stuff in our store. So the next time you're going to make a health related purchase somewhere, think of us and go to our store and see if we have it on there. And if not, email us and let us know if it's something that you think we should carry, and we'll do our best to carry it.
Speaking of sheets, man, grounded sheets are the best.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah, I highly recommend people check out the grounded sheets. We have one. Mm-hmm. Man, it's like taking 4 melatonin. That sheet's magical. It's a magical sheet.
It's kind of bizarre. I kind of have to use it in. I don't know if it's a, what do you call that? Placebo effect or not? But it doesn't seem to be, because the nights that we use it. Every time in the morning, I just feel like I've slept like $1 million.
Isn't that crazy?
And I could feel the difference. I don't know what that is. I can't explain it.
I didn't feel like the first couple nights we used it, I felt much. But as the months have gone on, when I want a good night's sleep, I just feel like I have to plug that thing in.
Plug into the source.
Plug it right in, directly into the source. But yeah, we sell those. We have them on our store.
Mm-hmm. They're on our store.
I think earthing is the coolest thing ever. Just to throw that in there, because you mentioned sheets on Amazon, but I don't know if I'll ever be. It's funny now. I don't know if we'll ever need to buy a fitted sheet anymore. It's funny because sheets come in sets usually, so it's we might just have to buy the top sheets by themselves, because I'm all about the grounded one. I love it.
We should buy another one just to have two.
Right?
You think?
Yeah, we should.
That could be good.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, they're in our store. So if you guys want to check those out, they're there. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for everything that you guys do for us, for sharing our shows on Facebook. We really appreciate that. That really helps us a lot. So appreciate it. This was episode 450. If we can do anything for you, please let us know. And we'll
go
catch you guys.
Eat your potato.
Eat your potatoes. Make sure you dextronize them first.
Right.
So thanks, everybody. We love you. Thank you. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Hey, everybody. This is Josie, Justin's mum. Don't tell him, but I know he would absolutely be really happy if you would sign up to his free weekly newsletter. And don't forget to share this with all your friends. This is the buzzing bumblebee signing off.
That's so good.
Oh my gosh.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on any information